Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wist. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. The first episode of the new Star Wars show, The Bad Batch, is the length of a movie, and it sets up an interesting direction by showing how the first days of the Empire went in strong, transitioning from clones to recruits. This period is cool for a focus, and we have an interesting group of characters guiding us. In an era of evil conformity come wonderfully unique clones as a focus. There is a strength in making the focus simple in a complex series of events. The show starts during the end days of the Clone Wars, where the clones have an inhibitor chip put out Order 66 to kill their Jedi Masters. However, the unit known as the Bad Batch reject this order. Because of their defiance, they are tested by Moff Tarkin to put down dissidents. But when the Batch meet them, they seem like good guys, and they reject the mission, meaning that now they are on the run from this insane empire. Episode 1 is a really good start. In episode 2 of The Bad Batch, the gang are on the run from the Empire, but are looking for some answers, so they go to see a deserted clone that was previously seen in the show The Clone Wars. We see that the Empire is established on this planet as well, so they cannot really post up there. But they learn that Rex, a clone who had his inhibitor chipped removed by Ahsoka Tano, is also defiant of the Empire. This is a cool setup, and Rex is shown in the trailer, so he will certainly be showing up soon. The episode is more of a standard length at half an hour, and it's not the length of a movie like the first episode, but it's still fun. There's some nice stuff with Omega, too, who was a young female clone that joined the gang, and who knows, perhaps she is force sensitive and will be like the Grogu of this show, yet that has yet to be shown, but come on. What's Star Wars without the Force? The Bad Batch is not just solid world building, which is to be expected, but episode 3 shows some solid storytelling that's not just stuff kids will enjoy, but I believe most adults would find entertaining if they could get over the animated format. It was a leap for me, to be honest. I put off the Clone Wars for years, but filling in the gaps enhances things so far for me. Here we see the gang crash land on a moon before meeting up with Rex and the first ever stormtroopers. The one member of Clone Force 99 whose inhibitor chip did not resist was Crosshairs, the sniper who is still on Kamino this time. He goes on a mission and mercilessly has civilians murdered in some cold-blooded material. The clones are still boss. Will there be a war between the clones and stormtroopers? That would be kind of great. And what they do on Kamino as they ponder the future of cloning, some believe that this will lead to the canon introduction of video game character Starkiller, which would be pretty cool. Episode 4 is more side quest stuff on a planet that kind of looks like Coruscant, but is not. It is called Pantora. It has a bounty hunter character from The Mandalorian appear named Fennec Shand, who I suspect will return. Even though it's side quest stuff still, with the gang landing on a planet to regroup and recharge, I found it to be fun stuff. I am not offended by a lot of side quests. Heck, The Mandalorian Season 1 had plenty of that. Omega is the one who attracted Fennec, and perhaps this will open things up more for bounty hunters. Maybe we'll even see Boba Fett in later episodes and get more and tie in stuff with The Mandalorian. This episode may not shine so far. I would say each episode is worth one watch, no more than that. So if you can do that, you'll be entertained and have realistic expectations for the show's strength. The spaceship in The Bad Batch keeps traveling. They simply cannot stay still, like in a road movie. This time, a new boss character is introduced who turns the clone troopers into bounty hunters with a fun twist. There are some great Return of the Jedi references here. The kid the Batch are supposed to save is Jabba's future Rancor in a smaller, childish shape. And the man who picks him up is Bib Fortuna, who was Jabba's right-hand man and also iced by Boba Fett in the last scene we saw in The Mandalorian. Omega shines as the brightest member of the group with her insights in the scenarios, and there's a lot of fun, colorful scenes with the flying dragon-like creature, and of course, the baby Rancor. So this one feels good. Because we can connect this episode to Return of the Jedi, it is one of the better ones. I would say I am a sucker for the original trilogy above all other Star Wars projects, and we can also now connect Bib to the Mandalorian. The home planet of Han Solo is featured in episode 6, as are two characters from season 7 of the Clone Wars, which I thought were pretty forgettable, but it is the mystery character in the end that sparks the most interest. Omega now rocks an electric bow and arrow, which she is a little too weak to use, but hey, a kid has to start somewhere. And a mission is given to collect the head of a tactical droid. Basically, they were like the generals of the Separatist droid army. They were thicker and could analyze strategy, so it looks like someone in the underground is trying to get a personal droid army, as that was a thing for a bit, or it could be for the rebels. So this is episode while it's another side mission thing, does have foreshadowing. It is one of those fun to speculate episodes after getting the solid Return of the Jedi mentions from episode 5. It also looks like Wrecker might go full Order 66, which would be a problem for the game. Let's just wait and see. The Bad Batch episode 7 will satisfy those who have been impatient with the side missions and want big plot things. Me personally, I got accustomed to one-off missions showing off some team bonding and character development. So, when one of the main characters of the Clone Wars, Clone Trooper Rex, showed up looking like a Nazgul from Lord of the Rings, I did not find it euphoric but cool and think this will make the show better. The clones are off to a Jedi cruiser to get their inhibitor chips removed by Rex, who talks to the Batch like they were anti-vaxxers before they made this decision, but they had to be low-key given the Empire's presence on the planet. It is also notably the first episode that is not a standalone. I will refrain from calling it a two-parter because in the Clone Wars, the episodes were often put together in 3 parts, and I have to say, Wrecker's Order 66 meltdown was funky. Stakes! The Bad Batch, halfway through its 16-episode first season run at episode 8, really throw things down. From a confrontation to Crosshair to the return of a Clone Wars favorite character. The character I am referring to is named Cad Bane, and he was a top hired gun during the last days of the Republic. And to see him do a Mexican standoff with Hunter was the most exciting moment of the show so far. Omega gets captured by Cad, and we see Crosshair as well as Hunter get their asses kicked. So this episode brings up some of the stakes, which I believe worked more because of the meandering beginning of the season. That is my opinion. Now that we are at the halfway point of the show, though, I am not anti-plot. I just think we need some perspective on how these animated Star Wars shows flow. They simply cannot have the juiciest moments. That has to be seen in live action. Cad Bane is totally not what he was in the days of the Republic. You know, when younger bounty hunter Fennec Shand beats him up like that, his days are numbered. So it is nice to see a lot of him in this episode. We learned that Boba is the Alpha and Omega is the Omega. Boba was not the only clone unmodified from Jango Fett's DNA. We learned that Omega is the final one, and that is her true value in the galaxy. We also see some cloning facility and something that looks like Snoke fall out, but it actually is definitely another alien. If you look a little bit more closely, a test subject for the cloners of Kamino, and you can be assured you will not learn about his origin in an animation. There is a nice amount of action and plot in this episode, but I'm telling you, it might not be in this season. But I refuse to believe that within the plot of Star Wars, that Cad Bane has much time left. Just when you thought the side mission storyline was done, they get pulled back in, to paraphrase The Godfather 3. We have the team here do another mission for Sid, where they save a separatist senator from the Empire. Now, of course, the clones feel a sort of way for helping a separatist, having just fought a war against them. But they also use battle droids to get out of a side mission episode a little while back, so the focus should really be on dismantling the Empire. I was sort of hoping that these episodes were done with, given the cool direction the last 3 episodes were pointing to, as there is still a lot of stakes, and I'm not sure that this world-building character development was necessary. But the action is pretty solid from a visual point of view, and Omega does some Star Wars chess gambling for Sid, which she excels at with her nimble mind, giving further suggestion that she is Force-sensitive. On social media, I refer to the Bad Batch episode 11 as more like the Bad Twi'leks, as we only see the main characters of the show for one lousy scene where they do a weapon exchange with rebel Twi'leks. That sort of threw me off, to be honest, but we see the planet of Twi'leks called Ryloth, and the political strife that is brewing because of Imperial presence. I mean, these aliens sided with the Republic to be freed of separatist occupation. Then this happens. The little girl Twi'lek in the episode I later learned was a main character on Star Wars Rebels, but that meant nothing to me watching this still good episode, as I have not dived deep into that show. We get a solid bridge episode to get us excited to see Hunter and the Bad Batch to come into Ryloth, and of course, to see an ever-merciless Empire in their early days, which is still cool to see to me. The action that was set up in Ryloth in episode 11 gets resolved in a sense in this episode, but of course, the battle has just begun, and the real rebellion is far from achieving substantive victory in any sense. Luke Skywalker hasn't even reached the Terrible Twos. We do see some clones somehow reject their inhibitor chips and standing up against the Empire, which is definitely a brave thing to do, and a little confusing because the Hunter and the Bad Batch had a different story. They were inherently weird clones who could resist the propaganda of Order 66 through a genetic defect, but other clones doing it is compelling drama and confusing made-up science, as I thought they were dumb clones who were inherently compliant. I guess not. Hopefully this is expanded on, and hopefully Star Wars canon does the Star Wars Legends story of the clone uprising against the Empire. That, to me, would be a great direction for another season of The Bad Batch. The side mission of getting Sid her business back in The Bad Batch episode 13 needs to be filtered two different ways. The first being that it's television and it's pretty good isolated from the season. The second, however, is that it is a side mission and something far from pivotal when there are 4 episodes left in a 16-episode season. I thought perhaps these were done with, so it's a little disappointing. I still think the episode is fun stuff. I enjoy the Pike Syndicate coming into the show, as they look funny and were cool in the Clone Wars show and existed in the Solo movie. So while you might think of crime in Star Wars as a hot exclusive monopoly, you would be wrong. Omega shows she has a heart of gold, as always. Wrecker proves once again to be my favorite character in the show, and there is a little moral complexity with the antagonist, making this wasted opportunity still not bad in my eyes. Whatever steam was lost during episode 13 of The Bad Batch was made up for in the 14th episode, in my opinion. There is a cool plot introduced and plenty of groovy action with an ending that is satisfying as it is a cliffhanger. Captain Rex sends out a message to the game that a clone is in trouble on an outer rim planet, which should be noted as the lawless areas of the galaxy and where losers in wars go to rebuild to return in later years. Rex says the planet has nothing on it, but that is not true. We see a big facility within a mountain, which is training stormtroopers, meaning busting out the clone will be a cumbersome task to say the least. Back at Kamino, the clones are rounded up and sent somewhere else. So the Empire has officially ended the contract with the Longnicks, and the fate of one of the more important ones is something I refuse to spoil. The second last episode of The Bad Batch Season 1 has the gang come back to their home world of Kamino, and we dramatically see the floating above water city get destroyed by the Empire in the last scene. Hunter and Crosshair confront each other about the other one's ambition. Hunter is not going to join the Empire while Crosshair refuses to leave it, so both stay where they were when we began this show back on May the 4th. All members of the Batch fight some droids together in the same arena where they showed off their skills to Moff Tarkin in Episode 1, and so they reconnect not through ambition, but through what they are best at, combat. Having seen Attack of the Clones many times in the Clone Wars Season 1-7 once, there is now some emotional connection to the dark side energy planet that is Kamino. It might not be Tatooine, but seeing it get blown up was intense. The finale episode of The Bad Batch Season 1, the 16th we got this year, was a hell of a disappointment if you ask me. Not much was set up beyond the fact that everyone is exactly where they started and still alive. They just escaped Kamino, and that obstacle is the entire last episode. There's no Emperor Palpatine or Darth Vader or any lightsaber. It's just, okay, we survived the destruction. See you again next year for more Sid missions. Not to be too cynical, I did enjoy most of what we got this year, but this is a finale sort of says what was wrong with Season 1 and what should be different for Season 2. There will be more plot of what is happening at this period and less side missions. The characters have been established. We need to see Sid get iced in Episode 1 of Season 2, and then a lot of us will feel better investing time in this show, which so far is good, but not great, although it could be.